Hello everybody, hope you're doing okay. Welcome to my road. Now, I don't know about you, but I feel I've been a bit down the last week or two. You think, oh, permanently indoors it seems. So I thought finally I'd be able to get outside and do a bit of a run. So I saw a challenge on a channel called This Messy Happy. This guy called Ben Bridges, quite a good runner actually. He's sort of done I think he did an 81 half marathon recently in a sub 17 5k. So he's put out a challenge to various people to see if they could do some blind pace tests.
These are 5 blind challenges, and what that means is you're not allowed to rely on technology. You're not allowed to look at your watch at any point.
Now, I think it's got about 5 challenges. The first one is doing a 5k where you basically try to run the same pace that you do the first k in blind. So what we're going to do, because I've got a slight twist to that, I'm going to do a marathon pace run, so which is for me a 6:45 pace, but in this test you have to think in kilometers. So I worked out that's a 4:12 or 14.3 kph. So I'll do a little warm up, get my legs going, and then we'll see if how closely I can run to 4:12 a k without looking at my watch at all. And also, for the sake of Matt, the Welsh runner, I've digged out my pink Next Percents, which I haven't actually worn yet. These are I think these are the third pair I got. So I got a size 12, UK 12 in the green, and I got the UK 13, which is a better size for me. Then the pink one came out and just left them in the box. I thought, well, there might be an Next Percent 2 coming out in a few months' time, so I better use the ones I've got. So this is the 5th pair of Next Percents that I've now put into use, and I've got one more in the box. So when you're running marathon pace, it probably helps to have some good shoes on. Right, let's get this warm up done, and then we'll see you later. Okay, a little warm up done, a couple of strides done. So, right, I'm going to try and run for 6:45 pace or 4:12 in minutes per k, or I think it was 14.3 kph. I won't look at the watch at all. I think I'll set it on my map page or something like that. So, but I'll hear the kilometre split for the auto lap, so I'll know that at least how many laps I've done. So I think I'll do 2 laps of this course before it gets dark, maybe 3 if possible. So I think I'll try and run for about 45-50 minutes, something like that. So I'll obviously run the 5k, and then I'll see if I can run another 5k, see how I can compare the two. Alright then, see you later. So off and running. I think this feels a bit like marathon pace. So I think this is so much for lockdown. Cars everywhere. Okay, so I'm on the 2nd lap. Trying to gauge this by sort of breathing really, just to feel. I haven't looked at my watch once, but yeah, I think it feels really. It's not a pattern flat course this, so you can get various bits where you have to sort of go uphill a bit, then you get a few nice downhills as well, but it's mainly flat. Okay, we're on the 3rd lap now. It's starting to get quite hard work, so I think I might have slowed a bit just from tiredness, but let's see how we go. So I finished the run. I did 12k in the end, and I averaged 6:38 pace, and I was trying for 6:45, so that's not too bad. In fact, in a way, I'm pleased to be slightly faster than I was aiming for, because it shows it's probably a bit fitter than I thought. Well, that was quite hard work. So that's probably, if you go off 7 seconds a mile for the first about a third of your marathon, is that the end of the world? Because obviously you would look at your pace during your marathon, wouldn't you, and adjust it. So that's not a bad effort. That's probably harder than marathon effort though, because that course was a bit rolling. Let's get indoors and have a look at the stats. Hello everybody, so back indoors now. I've had a chance to have a look at the data. Now I haven't done a spreadsheet this time, you'd be glad to hear, but I've just brought up the Strava. So the actual challenge was to do 5k as a blind test, i.e. blind as in not actually looking at your watch at all. So I didn't even look at my auto laps when they came on, but I set the auto lap at 1k so that I could actually look at these splits later, i.e. here they are. So I did a 4:10 to start off against a 4:12. If you look at the profile there, it's marginally uphill to start with. Some of these gradients are perhaps a bit over exaggerated, but there are, you do feel the little rises and dips in this course. And then the 2nd K was a 4:6. You can see that's net downhill there, so not surprising that I sped up a bit. And the 3rd one is a 4:16, and that's basically all uphill. I say uphill, you don't really notice it, but when you actually, it's interesting when you come to look at the data again. how much you've actually gained the best part of 10 meters there in a K. And then the fourth K, that's pretty much a flat one, 4:13. And then I finished up with a 4:06. So I then carried on to do 12k in the end, and you can see the splits there. It looks like it's just sort of sped up a bit actually. 4:2, 4:5, 4:6, 3:57. I think it was a predominantly downhill one. And then a 4:12, 4:1 and a 4:10. So if I was trying to 4:12, I was actually then cruising on quite nicely. I think once I've done the first 5k, I just let myself go, feeling this is like not a flat out run, but a good effort for a Saturday afternoon. So all in all, I think I averaged 4:08 pace there against a 4:12. And I think the first 5k was a 4:10 average against a 4:12. So yeah, I think I did a reasonable job in pacing myself there. I think it certainly helps when you do a race familiar pace, and marathon pace is a pace that I've done an awful lot of in the last sort of 18 months, although it was a good year since the Seville Marathon. But I've done quite a lot of work recently on the treadmill around about that sort of tempo. And it's sort of like the comfortably hard tempo for a marathon. Obviously, doing 12k, you should be able to manage 12k at marathon pace, can't you, unless you're very unfit. But it's certainly a pace that you feel like you're having to work reasonably hard, and it's certainly not a jog, and it certainly is not the sort of pace you want to do too often when you should be going easier. But in terms of actual training, I think it's the ideal pace to be training at for the marathon. I mean, obviously you need to do your long runs and some faster work as well, but no surprises on race day, as they say. That doesn't just mean your shoes and your top. I think it also means what pace you want to run at. So if you look at some other metrics there, then my heart rate averaged 137 as a max of 145. That's quite good actually, because I would say that my threshold heart rate these days is in the mid 140s. So I only actually got up as maximum to my threshold. So that was certainly a sub-threshold run. Cadence 184. It's always interesting, the cadence outside, because it all seems to be a lot higher than it is on the treadmill. It's usually about 6 steps per minute lower on the treadmill. So for that sort of effort, I think I was doing about 178, 180 on the treadmill. And sure enough, I've got 184 there. So it wasn't particularly cold today, so I was able to get out in shorts and just a t-shirt style top. So that was good, and I had on those pink Nexus. I also had the Stride foot pod on as well, and this is from the Stride Power Center, which is their equivalent to Garmin Connect or Strava. So here I've got all my K splits, and you can see the average power for each one. Now the thing about power in the main is that what you're trying to do here ideally is to get each of these powers the same, regardless of whether the particular K is net uphill or net downhill. And as you can see, I don't think I did any better on the power than I did on the pace. I mean, averaging there, what's the average? 286. I think I averaged about 290 in my marathon, so it's about right. I mean, there's about a 10-watt spread between Ks, isn't there? And obviously, I didn't look at the power either, so that's going very much on feel. What I didn't seem to get, though, is any air power today. Normally, you have this component which sort of detects the wind and air resistance. There wasn't much wind about, but certainly at that pace, you expect to see some sort of air power, at least 1%. So that's almost as I was running in a vacuum, as it were. But yeah, so the power can be interesting, but maybe on a course that's just a bit more hilly than this. So I've got 19 points for my first challenge, and I'll look forward to see if I can do a few more of the other ones. If you head over to this Messy Happy channel, you can see all the challenges, and I encourage you to have a go at them as well. Okay, thanks again for watching. Hope you found this interesting, and see you next one. Bye.